No words could describe the range of emotions Grand Fisher felt at the moment. On a stormy night, he had been hunting by a swollen river using his lure, disguised as a small child in order to lure in any spiritually aware beings, when he got the attention of two redheads. A mother and her child. Now that he thought about it, he had fooled the boy with his lure. The child tried to save the little girl, who was too close to the raging currents of the river. The mother, however, seemed to have seen through his lure. Just when he was about to grab the kid, he noticed how the mother started gathering Rashur. He almost thought about ditching the whole thing when suddenly a huge pillar of light engulfed the mother and made whatever trick she was trying to do stop. He could still remember the look of complete and utter shock on her face, but when she noticed how he was still going after her son, she ran over and used her body to protect the child. He laughed at her predictable choice. Instead of just saving herself, she tried to save her son. Oh well, who was he to complain about it? After killing the mother he would have left, but just for a moment, his greed got the better of him and he decided he might as well eat the child. Seconds didn't pass when he did just that. He had just killed and then eaten the child's soul when it happened. An immense amount of power started running through his very being. He had heard of these kinds of events happen before to other hollows. Apparently, he was ready for the next stage of evolution. His instinct started screaming at him. It almost felt as though someone was guiding him somewhere. Deciding to just let his instincts take over, he opened up a garganta and stepped through it. Deserts of Hueco Mundo. Stepping through the garganta and touching white sand should have been the first sign that something wasn't right. He had never seen this part of Hueco Mundo before. He usually opened up a portal near the forest of Minos, where all the weak hollows lived. Ha! This only means that I no longer need to be around the weak anymore. Grand Fisher's voice was full of arrogance. Allowing the power to flow through him, he screamed to the dark night and allowed himself to become consumed by the power surging within. Opening his eyes again, he noticed that an empty black void surrounded him. The hell is this place? Where the hell am I? The hollow asked no one in particular, not really expecting anyone to answer him. He looked for an exit when he suddenly heard another voice. Well, look what we have here. A disorienting voice sounded behind him. Turning around quickly, he froze at the sight of what he could best describe as a demonic-looking monster with the most terrifying-looking black mask he had ever seen. Wait! A black mask? The mask was black, but that's not where its strange physical appearance ended. Sharp black teeth were visible, and it was also sporting two black horns in the front. Strange white markings ran through the mask, four spike-shaped marks, two of them stopping by the forehead and the other two stretching past the eyes and teeth, going past his chin and joining with the marks which connected with the hole in his chest. A hole. Looking more closely at the demonic figure, the Grand Fisher noticed a hole where his heart should be. Now that I'm looking at this thing more closely, its skin is white. Finally getting over his shock, he looked at the figure more closely to see, strangely, the reverse of the skin colors of a common hollow. Instead of black skin, it was white. The white mask was replaced by a black one. Interesting enough though, its appearance reminded him of the Gillians he had seen around the forest of Minos. Grand Fisher stared at this reverse hollow. He didn't remember eating any hollow with such features. Hell, he didn't even bother attacking any other hollows in fear of being eaten. A silence washed through the empty void. No one said anything. Both hollows kept staring at each other until Grand Fisher finally spoke. Who the hell are you? What are you doing here? He demanded. Dot. 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 Having enough of the silent treatment, Grand Fisher was about to ask again when the white hollow finally spoke. You know what? I should thank you for giving me another chance. His words confused Grand Fisher. Chance? The hell is he talking about? He was about to ask what it meant when he noticed his left arm turning into spirit particles. What? Before he could start freaking out, the hollow's voice caught his attention again. I guess you never heard of what happens to a hollow who eats a stronger soul. The albino hollow's wicked grin seemed to have grown even wider, if that was possible. He waited for Grand Fisher's eyes, confusion and fear swimming in their depths, to return to his own wicked and sadistic ones. Sometimes an idiotic hollow likes to take a bite out of something that's out of their leagues, and when that happens both the awakened soul, which is you, and the dormant soul, which is me, go in a clash of spiritual battle to see who takes control. He paused in his explanation to make sure Grand Fisher was following along, before he continued, this only happens when a Jillian is born and is ready to take on a consciousness. And when that happens, whoever's soul is stronger becomes the conscious mind, but that's not what is happening right now. This is a special case. Fear flooded through Grand Fisher, he still didn't understand. He looked back down at his body, only to see that both his legs and left arm had vanished. His right arm, chest, and luckily his head were still there. But he was starting to feel the top left corner of his mask dematerializing too. The hell, you bastard! You still haven't explained what's happening to me. The outrage was clearly evident in his voice, the first hint of emotion to come out of his mouth other than anger and confusion since this whole thing started. You are becoming a part of me, was the only answer the albino hollow told him, wicked smile never leaving its face. Finally, he understood. This hollow was absorbing him. He was weaker. Years of careful hunting gone to waste, all because he let his greed get the better of him, and now because of that, he will die. During his years of living as a hollow, he had lost the sense of fear when he had become a predator, probably nothing of the extreme kind, but a predator nonetheless. But now he was in the presence of a stronger predator. An apex predator. Fear clutched his heart. No, damn it. This isn't supposed to happen. I'm supposed to be at the top. To become a ruler, a king, a predator. His enraged voice echoed through the black void, I am not Tob Food 2N01. By this point, only the right side of his mask remained. A burst of laughter broke him out of his rage. Glaring at the white hollow, he cursed himself. One of his questions still remained unanswered. Who are you? He asked. I never ate another hollow before or anything of such strong spiritual energy. So answer my last question. Who the hell are you? Silence once again enveloped the two of them. Grand Fisher waited. Once again receiving the silent treatment, he was ready to demand the other hollow answer him when the reversed hollow spoke, this time in a serious voice. You could have left the boy alone and avoided all of this. Grand Fisher tried to calm down and process what had been said. The boy? Is he talking about the child with his mother? That's right, the boy with his mother. A bewildered look crossed his face. How the hell can he read my mind? Oh no, I'm not reading your mind, but with the expressions you are showing in your only eye, you don't have to be a psychic to see where your train of thoughts are going through. Once again, he finished with the same serious tone. Only a small part of Grand Fisher's mask remained. So this is how my life ends, thanks to a greedy choice. Memories of his human life flooded his mind, and all he could do was watch them go by. Finally, after just a few minutes, the last bit of his mask vanished and Grand Fisher was no more. A lake then replaced the great black void that surrounded both hollows. In the middle of the lake was an island of strange design. If one was to look from above, they would have seen the island take the form of a crescent moon. In the center of the island was the reflection of the full moon hanging high in the sky. The white hollow just stood there motionless for a few minutes before he started walking down a random path. It didn't take long for him to find what he was looking for. A small child with orange hair, tan skin, and now a small hole where his heart should be. By the looks of it, he was unconscious. He kept staring at the young boy. Seconds passed by, which then turned to minutes before he finally spoke. I can just take over your body. Your soul right now. Sheesh, now you're giving me the silent treatment, kid. You never asked for this to happen. Hell, I never asked for this. For this second chance. He looked down at the kid with glowing yellow eyes and reached for the boy's face. You never wanted this to happen and you are not ready for what you will need to do to survive in my world. But I will give you a small gift before I go. Reaching down to the boy, he put one of his hands on the child's chest, right above his hollow hole. When the time becomes right, you will hear my voice. He started pushing his own Ryatsu into the boy, watching as the redhead's peach skin became white as the moon. It might be in a few weeks, months or maybe even years before you hear me. But when you do, I hope you have accepted what happened and what you have become. I will grant you the power and strength to push past the limits of your very self. Your Quincy and Shinigami powers will still be there, but my Hollow's powers will be the dominant one. By this point, his own body started to dematerialize and get absorbed into the child. It wouldn't be long before he went into a deep slumber inside the boy's soul. Wake up, Ichigo. It is time for you to leave now. The albino Hollow started feeling two different Ryuryoku. One was weak while the other one was powerful, and they seemed to get closer, but he sensed no killing intent, instead he sensed hope. Relief? Strange. To feel hope in a place like this? Doesn't matter, seems like the child won't be alone here at least. Looking back at the kid, the Hollow noticed that the boy's skin was now pure white. Goodbye, for now, and child, hopefully next time we see each other it'll be soon. And maybe you could hear my name, but doesn't mean I can't leave without having you hear it. Even if you're unconscious. He let out a small laugh. My name is L. And then everything went dark. A few minutes before Grand Fisher arrives. Some distance away from where Grand Fisher would soon appear were two people. One was a man with wavy, dark brown hair that ended at the base of his neck. Both he and his companion, a young-looking girl with light green hair arranged in a very basic manner, wore a cloth to cover themselves. Nothing seemed strange about them, but in a world where monsters roamed, looking more closely revealed what they were. The remains of the man's hollow mask, comprising the bottom jaws of a wolf, was positioned along his neck. His hollow hole, which was covered by his cloth, was fixed in his sternum, right below the tip of his mask. The girl's hollow hole was set in the center of her stomach. Her hollow mask took the form of a helmet, with two horns on the top, although her left horn looked as if someone had cut it off. The left half of her mask only covered her left eye, revealing her right, which was a pretty shade of light pink. Surrounding them both were mountains of dead hollows, and everything was quiet and dull, with absolutely no life, no activity happening around here. Around them. The man seemed to be asleep while his companion just kept staring at nothing until she sensed a hollow's presence far away. Looks like another one is going through their evolution. Nothing new, she thought. Don't matter how strong they feel when they won't be able to reach us. She sighed at the last thought. She took a quick peek at her companion, but he was still asleep. Probably doesn't even care about it. Glancing at the mountain of bodies around her, she let out yet another sigh. She was about to ignore the hollow when out of nowhere its spiritual power just skyrocketed. It almost felt like it completely overpowered their own. She snapped her head around towards the location of the hollow. Her eyes fixated on the power in the distance. Unknown to her, the sleeping man's blue-gray eyes shot open and also shot towards the location of the spiritual power. And just like that, it vanished, just as quickly as it came. He said nothing, in deep thought about what he had just felt. The amount of power. Even from here, I could feel it cover my own. He kept staring, hoping for it to show up again. He took a quick glance to his companion in hopes it wasn't just him who felt it. And to his relief, she had the same look as him. She turned around and met his eyes. You felt it too, right Stark? The green-haired girl asked. Yeah, I did Lily, Stark replied. Joy shone in Lily's eyes. Then what are we waiting for? She replied all too eagerly. Someone with that much power won't get hurt by being around us. We can finally stop feeling so lonely. Loneliness, it was something they had felt for a long time, since their very power, their presence killed every hollow who came near them. They used to be one hollow, but because none survived in their presence, solitude ate away at the hollow until it split into Stark and Lily. Neither remembered which of them was the original but decided not to question it and be glad they were no longer alone. But even still, their power killed all who came near them. But here was a hollow whose power rivaled, or perhaps was greater, than theirs. They saw the hope in each other's eyes. Not wanting to wait any longer, they stood, and Stark grabbed Lily and Sonidoed towards the location of the powerful spiritual presence. They reached the spot where they'd felt the power in under a minute. They both started looking around, hoping to find the hollow with the immense power. "I don't see anyone around, Stark," Lily said, a hint of disappointment entering her voice. The brunette felt the same disappointment. Whoever's power they felt looked to have left. Ready to just leave, Stark notices a small body. Pointing at it, Stark said, "Hey, look over there. I think I see someone." Following his finger, Lily noticed the body. It was small, smaller than her own actually. She didn't think long about it before she dashed towards the body. "Hey! Are you the one with the strong Ryatsu?" Stark just looked at it from a distance. He didn't see it breathing or anything at all. It looked dead, like every other hollow who got near them. Disappointment flashed over his face. Should have known this would happen, he told himself quietly. So much for hoping. Just as he was about to call Lily back, she screamed at him. "Come and look at this. He's this close to us and he's still breathing. I think he's just passed out." Hope filled her voice, and it returned to his thoughts. He's alive. This close to us and he's still breathing. He sonidoed close to them and looking more closely, Stark notices his light breathing. He's alive after all. Inspecting the body, he notices that it was a small boy. His skin was a strange ivory color, and he had one of the brightest hair colors he had ever seen. He also had a hollow hole with strange red markings around the hole connecting to his limbs. He also notices the strange black cloth covering his lower half. Looking up at the boy's face, he noticed something disturbing. There is no sign of a mask. The boy completely lacked any fragments of a mask. Which was definitely out of the ordinary. No matter what evolution a hollow goes through, some fragment of their mask always remained. Even the evolution in which Lily and he were at had some of their mask left. But this boy lacks everything, not even a tiny fraction of a sign that he used to have a mask remains. A million questions ran through his head. What did this mean at all? Before he could continue his train of thought, Lily snapped him out of his mind. "Look, Stark, he's waking up." Small groaning noises came from the boy before his eyes opened up and caught both of their attentions. His eyes were different, yet still held the hollow-like color. His iris was yellow while his sclera was pitch black. "Well, that's just about the weirdest thing I have ever seen," thought Stark, but the fact the kid seems to still be breathing and not dying was a huge relief for him. Lily's eyes locked with the boy's own strange set. "They're so beautiful." Without thinking, she started moving closer to his eyes, trying to see more of it until the boy finally said something. You're a little too close to my face there." A small blush adorned his cheeks. When his nervous voice reached her ears, Lily leaned away from him, a small blush also adorning her cheeks. Looking around, the boy noticed his strange surroundings. Where am I?" he asked in a confused voice. The last thing he remembered was. It was. He didn't remember. What is this place? A small amount of fright was present his voice. He remembered nothing. He didn't even remember his name. Wait. No, that's not right. He remembered his name, but everything else was just a giant mess of memories. Memories that weren't his own. It was like he was watching them from someone else's point of view. However, throughout all the memories, a young orange-haired boy stuck out the most. He couldn't remember any of the people's faces except for the boy's face, and then the realization hit him. That boy is me. Focusing more, he kept hearing his name, but that was it. Any other noise seemed to go quiet, and the faces were still nothing but a huge blur for him. "Hey kid, you okay?" Finally brought out from his thoughts, the small redhead finally got a good look at the people in front of him. He noticed the strange white-like material and, oh my Cammy. How can you have a hole in your body and still be alive? A look of bewilderment crossed his face. The man in front of him had his cloth down, and he could see a hole in his body. The people themselves just gave each other a curious look. The girl answered his question. Because we are hollows," she replied, confused. Now, what kind of question was that, asking about why they had a hole? "What's a hollow?" the boy asked, unsure of the word. That only made Stark and Lily even more confused. How the hell did this boy reach such an evolution without knowing anything? Stark thought. This was by far the most he had ever thought about things in such a short time, and the last time he ever thought like this was, well, never. Before he decided to try to give an explanation, Lily explained it to the boy. In her own Lily kind of way. "The same thing that you are," she told him, pointing at the boy's own hollow hole. Gaze following her finger, Ichigo freaked out. Why do I have a hole? Now everything was just confusing for him. He didn't know these people, he woke up in a weird place, and now found out he has a hole in his body. He would have run in circles if the brunette hadn't been holding him down with his hands. "You need to calm down, kid. You got a name?" Stark asked. Relaxing, Ichigo's unearthly yellow eyes met Stark's own blue-gray ones. "I'm Ichigo." With a small nod, Stark told him his own name. "Hey there, Ichigo. I'm Coyote Stark." He then nodded towards the girl, "and that over there is Lilynette Gingerbuck, or you can call her Lily for short." Once everything seems to calm down, Ichigo looks back at the man. They seem normal even with the hole in the man's chest. Going back to the original question, he asked again, "Where am I?" Before Lily could explain, Stark beat her to it. "You're in Hueco Mundo. To be more precise, you're above the forest of Minos." He would keep his answers plain and simple for the boy. Getting a nod in understanding, the boy asks the next thing he found confusing. What's Hueco Mundo?" A sigh escaped Stark's lips. Seems I have to explain everything to him. He spoke again. Hueco Mundo is the dimension where hollows live. The redhead gave another nod of understanding. Well, at least he understands fast, he thought. Seeing as the boy still had a question, he nods back to him. "What are hollows?" At this question, Stark tried his best to answer him without going into deep detail. He had long forgotten his time as a simple Minos. Stark just sighed and tried to think of a simple explanation for the kid to understand. Hollows are, well, we're part of a human soul who couldn't pass to the afterlife, and after a while, they become a corrupted soul and become monsters of some sort. After that, they eat other hollows to feel full again. Stopping from his explanation and seeing the kid was still with him, he continues. Once the common hollow has enough, he goes through various stages of evolution before he reaches the final stage, which is what we are. Getting a small nod, Stark let go of Ichigo and watched as the kid fell back onto the white sand. The look in Ichigo's eyes sent a sharp pain through Stark's chest. "You said were, as in, was part of a human soul. Does that mean I'm dead?" Tears started gathering in Ichigo's eyes. He didn't remember dying, he remembered nothing besides his own name. How did he die? What happened to him? By this point, tears were falling freely. It pained Stark to look at the kid cry, he didn't know why, but it just hurt him. Lily wasn't doing much better. She pulled the boy into a hug. "Don't cry now, Ichigo." She tried to soothe his pain. Am I going to be alone now? That question brought back painful memories for both Stark and Lily. Stark will not allow this kid to go through the same pain as them. No. His voice came out strong and firm. Getting the attention of both Ichigo and Lily, he continued, you don't have to be alone. Not in a world like this. You can become a part of us. A part of our pack. Reaching with his hand out to the boy, Stark waited for him to take it. At this, Lily stood up to stand next to Stark and also reached out her hand to Ichigo. Yeah, you can be with us. A part of our pack, she told him with a cheerful smile pasted on her face. Ichigo's eyes lit up. He just kept staring at their hands. He looked up to their eyes and saw the honesty in them. He won't be alone at all, and he could see the hope in their eyes too. Not even thinking about it for a second, Ichigo reached out to hold on to Lily's and Stark's with both of his hands. Once they had a hold on them, they pulled him up. Welcome to the pack, Ichigo, Lily said. He gave them a small smile, tears of joy running down his face. I guess I won't be alone here. In the great white desert of Hueco Mundo lay down Coyote Stark, alone. Surrounded by a small hill of dead hollows. He would usually have hated being alone in a scene like this, but he was the so-called lure. He wouldn't have been the damn lure if he kept his mouth shut all those weeks ago. Opening one of his blue-gray eyes, he looks at the bodies of the dead hollows. A sigh escapes his lips. How did things turn out like this? Oh, that's right, Ichigo got hungry. Stark still couldn't understand the enigma that was Ichigo. That kid is becoming more of a puzzle with each passing day. Although he hates being the lure, he still does it for the boy who seems to put in some light to his and Lily's once lonely days. It's been about 8 months since Ichigo had become a part of their pack. A small smile reaches his lips. He can still remember how things went after Ichigo stopped crying. Flashback, 8 months ago. The moment the boy started crying again, tears of joy this time. Both Stark and Lily went in for a quick group hug. Well, they meant it to be quick, but Ichigo had a good grip on both of them. Once Ichigo calmed down and let them go, he looked around and tried memorizing his surroundings. Some white sand here, more sand over there, a few branches of trees here and there, and, ah! Look, a rock. He said with a deadpan look on his pale face. This place feels so dead. No pun intended. Looking back to his pack now. Man, that feels weird to say. He was about to ask them what they would do now when his stomach started growling. His cheeks turned red with embarrassment and turned his face away from Stark and Lily. If he didn't look away, he could have seen the clear look of shock on both of their faces. Stark stares at the boy's stomach. There's no way his stomach just grumble. Everyone was quiet for a while, two people having different thoughts. Ichigo hoping his stomach doesn't embarrass him again and Stark hoping he didn't hear the whole thing. Please, just be a part of my imag. Stark's thoughts stopped when the sound of Ichigo's grumbling stomach reached his ear. Fighting down his embarrassment and collecting his voice again, the redhead was about to question what kind of food there is around here to eat when Stark's voice beat him with his own question. How can you be hungry? The brunette said with obvious confusion on his face. Lily sported the same look but stayed quiet about it and let Stark ask the questions. The question confused Ichigo. Be hungry? He didn't like the way he made it sound like that. Looking back at him, he gave him a childlike reply. Because you know. I need food for my tummy. Now, why would he ask a question like that? He means, after all, both Stark and Lily look healthy and not skinny like some skeleton, so by that kid logic they should feel hunger now and then for them to go eat something like any another normal person. That's right. Not like any normal person, I'm dead now and apparently a hollow. He was about to brood, but his stomach broke him out of his thoughts. The man raises one of his eyebrows before answering the redhead. You shouldn't feel the need to eat now. When a hollow reaches such evolution like ours, all hunger just goes away because in a way we gain back what we lost when we became hollows. Our humanity. Although he doesn't remember much about his time as a common hollow, the need to eat becomes encrypted in every hollow's instinct. Is all basic knowledge to all the normal hollows in Hueco Mundo. Stark let that last information sink in before he smacks himself in the face. This kid is anything but normal. The brunette let out a sigh and scratched the back of his head. Seeing how Ichigo was about to ask another question, he gathers his thoughts and was about to give him a simple childlike answer for him to understand. Or better yet. I'll tell you more when you're older. Was his quick reply. He left Ichigo dumbfounded by his random words of choice and just kept staring at him. While Lilynette was staring at her companion with a furious glare. Don't be so lazy, you damn sloth. Truth is, Stark's quite a lazy and unenthusiastic man who rather spends his time asleep. He's not interested in whatever is going on around him unless you count the boy in front of him, although he has a sharp eye and capable of analyzing everything most of the time unless you're counting Ichigo again. While Lily is the complete opposite, she's in a way more on the cheerful and mischievous side, and whenever she feels gloomy about their solitude, she comes up with unusual ways of waking up Stark whenever he's asleep. She would have thought with another person finally to talk to he would have stopped with the laziness. Guess she was wrong about that. Ready to give him a piece of her mind, Stark looked at her and said, I'll tell you when you're older, too. She looked at him with the same dumbfounded look Ichigo was giving him. A twitch came to her right eye. She was ready to smack him when Ichigo's stomach made itself known again. Glad about the minor distraction to their original problem, Stark looks back at Ichigo and thinks about it. Well. He needs to eat and to eat he needs to hunt. Or does he? A quick memory of the mountain of dead hollows that surrounds Lily and himself a few distances away came to his mind. The hollows usually just die, but do they keep the soul of who they ate? Are there even any souls left? Or can Ichigo even eat hollows? He has to take into account that last part. The boy may not even need souls to eat, but maybe Reisha instead. But if that was the case, the redhead shouldn't even feel hungry in the first place. Hueco Mundo is full of Reisha. Sure, some small amount of it, but it's still there. He felt a sigh escape his lips. Damn it, I'm thinking too much about this. Let's just see how eating hollows go. With a quick nod to himself, he finally decided. Well, since you're hungry and the only thing around here to eat are hollows. He ignores the look of confusion on the redhead's face. You may be a lucky kid because there's a mountain of them not too far away from here. He finished with his right thumb pointing at the back of him. Ichigo looked behind the brunette, expecting to see the mountain of hollows not too far away, but as he saw nothing, he let a plain look reach his face. Looking back to Stark and pointing in the same direction that the mountain of hollows was to be, he says, there's nothing there. Looking back, the brunette let out yet another sigh. How could I forget how far away we came from? He rubs the back of his neck with his right arm and gives the kid a small sheepish smile. Ha, forgot how far away we are. Ichigo gave him another deadpan look while the lime-haired girl smacks her face. This idiot. Lily thought before releasing a sigh of her own. You know we should probably just go already. Getting a nod from Stark, she moves closer and lets him put a hand on her shoulder. Turning around, she nodded her head towards Ichigo and teased him. Come on, Strawberry, let's go already. Seeing the way his face turned red from either anger or embarrassment, she didn't know, she let out a small laugh. Ichigo was ready to give her a sharp reply about how his name means, to protect one thing, when he stops upon hearing her small laughter. It was a pleasant sound, almost like he heard it before. Getting lost in his memories by trying to figure out where he heard laughter like hers before. He stops after a minute when nothing came to his mind and shook his head before looking back to Stark and Lily, the pair staring at him. Oh, sorry about that. I thought I remember something. Getting a nod from both of them, he walked in closer and let Stark put a hand on his shoulder. So how are we gonna get to the Mao? He couldn't finish his sentence because that's when Stark decided to Sonido. In a distance away, an Ajuchas was feasting on which could only best describe as the equivalent of a mountain of gold for hollows. It had a strange bird-like appearance. Its hollow mask took the form of a parrot's head, it has murky green-like skin, gray color feathers around his neck, some seem to sprout from its back and waist. Its arms seemed to lack any form of fingers and instead ended with a single claw-like tip, both arms covered by gray feathers. The waist seems oddly normal enough until you come up to its talon-like feet. On his feet were 4 talons, 2 facing forward and 2 facing backward. The parrot-like hollow let out a bark of laughter. "Wah-ha, oh man, I hit the jackpot," he said before going back to eating the bodies. He got lucky with this find. He sensed a powerful Ryatsu not too long ago and flew away from it. The stronger the Ryatsu, the bigger of a monster the hollow is, and when he noticed the presence disappear, he stopped and tried to reach out with his senses to search where it went when he picked up the mountain of dead hollows by accident. I mean, they lack a good amount of ratio, but with all these bodies who cares? Wah-ha, oh well, looks like only this time around when it's quantity over quality. He gave out another laugh and went back to eating when suddenly the surrounding air became too heavy for him to breathe. No, it's not the air. The ratio around me became heavier. Falling down to his knees, he finally got his senses working and tried to find why such a strange phenomenon was happening. Reaching out with his senses, he found 2 individuals coming towards him. One of them felt stronger than him, but it compared nothing to what the second one was giving out. Damn it! Is his presence alone killing me? By this point, he was already face down on the ground when he felt the third presence with them. What the hell, I couldn't even sense that one. Is this the presence from before? Is this third being's power so great that you must be close to sense it? No, that's not it. He could barely think at this point. He felt like his soul was dying. In his last moment he came down to a final thought, no, it seemed to be. And just like that, the hollow lay down with the rest of the bodies. Dead. Reaching their destination, Stark lets go of Ichigo's shoulder and let the boy try regaining his balance from the fast travel method. Looking down at the hand he used on the boy, Stark kept staring at it. The moment he used Sonido, he felt Ichigo's Ryatsu trying to leech on to his own. At least that was what it felt like. He even got to sense the boy's Ryu-Ryoku, and it seems to not be any stronger than his own, but the boy can still live around him. Stark lets out another sigh. I need to stop with that. Looking back at the pair, Lily already left his side to go make fun of Ichigo while said boy was trying to hold back his fluids. He gathered himself and started walking to Ichigo before pointing out the bodies. These are hollows. Turning back to the brunette and following his finger, Ichigo finally got to see what hollows were. Kami, he hoped he hadn't done that. He just kept staring at the mountains of bodies. Dead bodies. They all have different shapes, sizes, and colors, but they all have a common trait. They all look scary with their monstrosity appearances. After looking at them for some time, a horrible realization hit him. Lily said. Said that I'm a hollow too, and these are hollow. Am I? Am I nothing but a monster? Before he could continue thinking about it, the voice of Lily broke him out of it. Used to be. She said. Ichigo looked at her and notices that Stark was looking at her, too. He saw the way she was looking at him, almost as if she knew where his trains of thoughts took him at. Seeing how she got his attention, she elaborated. That's how we used to look like when we were hollows. Well, Stark and I, you're a different case altogether. You probably never went through the stages of evolution as far as we know of. Everyone was quiet. Stark was trying to see where she was going with this, and Ichigo looked like his mind was settling down. You now know what hollows are. What Stark and I are now, but can you say we are monsters? Lily said, and Ichigo stared at her in shock. It was as if she read his mind. No, I'm not reading your mind. Your eyes are showing all the shock and confusion in you. A small smile spread across her face. Can you say we're monsters? We sure don't look like them, and if we don't act like them, we aren't monsters. Ichigo let her words sink down on him. He was a monster now, but with the way she said it. As long that he didn't act or look like them, he was the farthest thing away from a monster. He gave her a small nod and thanked her before looking back at the bodies. The way Lily spoke surprised Stark. It was calm and easy for the boy to understand. Who would have thought she was so fine with her words? A smile reaches his lips. Seems like everything will be just fine. Looking back at the kid, Stark saw him kicking a body with his foot. Making himself know again, Stark clears his throat, gaining the redhead's attention. Well, since that's clear out now, you should be good to eat, right? He asked him. Ichigo's yellow eyes stare at Stark's blue-gray eyes. He looked at Stark, then back to the bodies. Stark. Bodies. Stark. Bodies. Ichigo did this a few more times before finally saying something. Shouldn't we cook them or something? Stark and Lily stared at him with a dulled look. He's starting to find himself becoming self-conscious under their gaze every time he asks them a question. Both letting out a sigh, Lily looked at the boy and reassured him. Trust us, no need in cooking them. They'll taste just fine. Are you going to eat with me? They went back to staring at him before Stark spoke this time. We aren't hungry and haven't been for a long time now. Is the boy asking them, two hungerless beings, to eat with him? Watching how the boy became embarrassed, he let out a quiet sigh. With a lazy gaze, he looks at the body of a parrot-like hollow. Reaching out for it and tearing out its right arm, one hell of a feat, he went up to Ichigo and put it down on his arm. Turning back to the body, he tore off the left arm and gave it to Lily, who looks at him with a puzzled look before he took a leg for himself. Looking back at the kid, he says, We'll eat with you if that's what you want. Sure, it's pointless to eat, but watching the way Ichigo's face lit up made it worth it. Yay, we can make this into a picnic. Ichigo said with much enthusiasm in his voice. Going along with it, Lily also made it sound like fun. All right, picnic time. Sitting next to Stark's right side and Lily choosing to sit next to his left side. The redhead stares at the arm nervously until he saw the way Lily and Stark seemed to just eat it with no trouble. Taking a quick breath and letting it out, he took a bite. Tastes like a chicken. End of flashback. That was 8 months ago, and now the bodies had run out and Ichigo got hungry. Honestly, where does it all go? Turns out, he was right about how the redhead's body was demanding erasure. As strange as that might seem. Did he run out of erasure in the moment of his evolution? He didn't know yet, and that just adds more puzzles about the kid. Around the time they were running low on food, Ichigo asked how they would get more food. Stark replied that hollows would eventually come to them. Bin asked how he knew that, the brunette told him, the barely transformed low-level Ajuchas come to me like how fire attracts moths. They sense my power and feel attracted to it, but before they even get too close, they will just end up dying instead. Shortly after that explanation, they waited, but it would seem nothing came their way. Thinking maybe their Ryuryoku alone was scaring off all the hollows, Stark reached out with his senses to find anything. When he didn't and found out that the only thing he could sense was himself, he took a moment to figure out why. A little experimentation later with Lily going a distance and trying to find Stark's Ryuryoku. He found out that she couldn't even feel his presence. The only conclusion he seemed to come to is that Ichigo might cover everything and everyone around him in some sort of hiding cloaking ability. This never happened before Ichigo came along, and it would explain why the mountain of hollows wouldn't just refill itself. The other hollows couldn't sense him. Not only that, but you could only really feel Ichigo when you try to reach him with any form of erasure. Now thinking about the first time we met the boy, I couldn't sense anything from him until I put my hand on him. Honestly, that little strawberry is becoming more and more of a mystery with each passing day. He remembered the day when his plan came to light. The kids pull a prank on him by leaving him alone when he fell asleep. When he woke up and noticed two Hollow's bodies who die nearby, he felt relieved, thinking maybe whatever Ichigo was subconsciously doing has stopped. He called out to them, but that's when he finally noticed that he was alone. He reached out with his senses to find them, but then he remembered how pointless that was. He tried a different way of finding them by trying to reach out to Lily's soul. They were one before they split, but even that seems to not be working. So he just waited for them to come back. When they finally got back and noticed the now dead pile of bodies around him, Stark came out with a plan to make himself become a lure. Hooray to me. He should have kept his mouth shut. And now here he was. Acting like a lure. Like a bait to a fish. Well, at least this way he seems to get some well-needed nap time. Ichigo and Lily seemed to get along well enough to where Lily would encourage Ichigo to wake him up whenever he fell asleep. A little too well. Honestly, Lily seems too attached to the boy, and he didn't like that. Lily is like a little sister to him. Sure, she gets annoying, but what sibling doesn't annoy you at one point? I just need to keep an eye on them is all. Going back to his hunting. Stark flares up his Ryatsu and waits. After some time and taking a quick look at the number of bodies, he gave himself a small nod, satisfied with how much food he got. Putting up one of his hand to the air, he fires a blue Zero. He waited for Lily to do the same and fire her own light green color Zero. This is usually the best way they find each other after Stark goes out to fish. He would have taught Ichigo how to fire a Zero, but he's waiting until he could figure out how strong the boy might be. He didn't want the kid to blow himself up by accident. After seeing her Zero, he waited for them to show up. He could have just Sonido with all the bodies to them. But nah. Too lazy for that. Not even waiting for too long, he saw the figures of Lily and Ichigo. Liking on making herself known, Lily calls out to the brunette. "Hey, Stark, how did the fishing go?" she said with another one of her teasing smiles on her face. The only response she got from him was a left twitching eyebrow. Stark likes to see her try staying in one place without her little boyfriend. Wow, wait, where did that last part come from? They're just kids who want each other company. Lily is just attached to Ichigo the same way he's attached to her. He looked at them still walking towards him, having small talks, walking at their own pace. Completely forgetting about him. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep an eye on them. Won't hurt anyone. Once they were close enough, Stark looked at Ichigo. The kid still has those yellow and black eyes, pale skin with those strange red markings that leave from his hollow hole, which he covered up with some of his cloth. The same strange black cloth is still around his waist. He was hoping for the kid's unusual skin color to fade with time and maybe with him eating, but it looks like it's permanent. When they finally got close enough to the only adult in their little group, they follow him up towards the pile of bodies to pick something for them to eat. Ichigo still won't eat alone. Probably just feels self-conscious about it. Stark told himself. Walking towards what seems to be some kind of lizard-like hollow, he made a reach for it before stopping when the body jerked. That stops the group in their tracks. Lily and Stark gave each other a quick glance. Lily tried to reach the hollow when it whisked a swing at her arms with its claw hands and miss. As Lily jerked away from it, Stark was ready to flare his Ryatsu to kill it before it spoke in a hoarse voice. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Well, that's new. Stark's believing that this hollow was trying to make it sound like it was trying to threaten them. When Baragon-sama learns that I didn't return, he will take this as a sign of rebellious. And he will. Whatever else the hollow would have said, if he had anything more to say, die. Well, that just happened. Looking back at the body, Stark gave it a quick kick. Not receiving any kind of response, he picked up one of its arms and tore it off, giving everyone some parts of meat before they started eating. Taking a quick look at Ichigo, he noted how the redhead no longer has a look of hesitation before taking a bite. The kid got used to the hollow life quick. The only thing he noticed was how the boy looks nervous. Probably just thinking about what it said. He'll just wait for the moment Ichigo feels to bring it up so he could put the kid's nerves to rest. Ichigo was nervous about what he just heard. He looked at Stark. Are we just gonna ignore what it just said? The redhead would have thought Stark would freak out or something. Even Lily seems to think about what she just heard. And there it is. Giving him a shrug with his shoulders, Stark looks at him with a lazy look before answering him. What's the point if they won't be able to find us? Just having you around us hides our presence from everyone else. But what will we do when whatever I'm doing just stops? It's been around 8 months since you've been here Ichigo, and whatever it is you're doing is still going at it. So don't worry about it. With that being said, both Ichigo and Lily went back to eating. Unaware that a pair of amber eyes were watching them from a distance before disappearing completely. Stark turns his head slightly towards the location where he senses a Ryatsu before it vanished. Shrugging it off, he went back to hearing Ichigo talk about the brief memories of his human life, which seemed to have come back to him. A sigh escapes his lips. Well, this is how our lives are now. Watching our backs from everything that seems to get attracted to us. Man, why does every hollow we eat taste like chicken? Stark looks at Lily laughing at the comment before he went back on eating the arm. His last thought went to the name the hollow mention. Now who the hell could Baragon be? 2 years have gone by since Ichigo has been living in Hueco Mundo. Nothing special has happened since the eerie warning of the lizard hollow. Just like Stark stated, whatever Ichigo has been doing to cover them up hasn't gone away. They still go hunting, but Stark had told them not to go too far. The redhead didn't understand why, and when he asked the brunette about it, he said how he had been feeling a set of eyes on them. On another side note, Ichigo's glad that eating hollows didn't stop his growth rate. He's getting closer to Lily's height now, just 2 inches shorter, but at least is better than when he was a good 5 inches smaller. When he brought it up today, they at first looked at him weirdly before they realized what he said was true. He still remembers the goofy shocked look on Lily's face. Even Stark looks shocked, and that's a win in his book every time he sees it. While he was making fun of Lily, he never noticed how Stark started overthinking. Again. Stark should already be used to this by now, but still, this is new to him. He and Lily have never aged before, and if what he could see from the redhead, that's what's happening. When he asked Ichigo around what age he died. Yeah, he tried to not use that word, but he couldn't put it in any other better way. Lucky for him, the kid seemed to be fine with it and told them he was around 9 when he died. Going with that information, he assumed Ichigo was probably 11. When Ichigo heard that, an idea came to his mind. I know what to do for today. So with a plan in mind, he'll wait to bring it up next time they eat again. His appetite seems at least to lower down throughout the years. Something Stark was all too happy about. After a few hours and his hunger coming back, they started eating from a small pile of leftover bodies. Waiting for the opportunity to tell them his amazing plan. The redhead spoke up after just a few minutes of eating. So I was thinking. Ichigo started while looking at Stark. The man stops eating to hear what the not-so-little strawberry wanted to say. Oh, and what would that be? Well, remember how you told me how I might be 11 years old? Ichigo said with a small grin on his face. By just looking at his smile, Stark knew that the boy was up to something. Could it be that the redhead was going to ask that question again? He looks at the boy's yellow eyes. I told you when you're older. Just because you're 11 doesn't mean you're old enough yet. Ichigo looked at him like he was crazy. What? Stark rolls his eyes. Trying to act all naive. Swallowing the food in his mouth, he says, I'm not teaching you how to use Zero. Is too dangerous for you. Finally understanding, Ichigo made an O shape with his mouth before clearing out what he meant. What no? I mean, you'll be the coolest person if you would teach me it. Which I will not teach you until you're older. Stark interrupted. Ignoring his words, Ichigo continues. But what I meant to say is that we should celebrate my birthday. Lily and Stark share a look. Celebrate his birthday? Why would they do that? Looking at the redhead, Lily spoke up about what they just thought about. Okay, and why should we do that? Looking back at the Limelet, Ichigo shrugs. It's just a thing people do when they reach their birthday. Do you even remember your birthday? Yup. July 15th. Okay, and what date do you think it is today? Seeing where she was going with it, he sighed and looked back at her. Yeah, I don't know what date it is, but the point is I'm 11 now. So that calls for a celebration. Giving up already, Lily shook her head, he could be so stubborn sometimes. Honestly, who did he get that stubbornness from? Oh well, better than just not doing nothing today. Stark looks back at Ichigo before asking him what he wanted to do. Ichigo thought about it. Well, they could just skip the food. So they should go for the presents, and he knew what he wanted. Looking back at the man, he says. During birthdays everyone has a gift ready for the birthday kid, but since there's nowhere for you guys to get me a gift, I have a request instead. And that be what now? I want to visit the forest of Minos. Even after all this time, Ichigo still remembers how Stark had told him how they live above the forest of Minos. With all the time spent up in the white sands, he's curious about how it looks down under. It surprised Stark at how the kid could still remember that. Ichigo never mentioned it again or asked about it. He took a moment to think about his request. He knows where the forest was, but he also knows about the much weaker hollows that live there too. If they go, his Ryatsu alone will just kill the weaker hollows, and he couldn't let the kids go alone because if something happens, he won't be able to sense them. Well, thinking about it, he was no longer bothered with killing the weak. They now have Ichigo's company, besides, he's tired of looking at the same night skies of Hueco Mundo. Finally deciding, he looks back at Ichigo. Alright, kid, you'll get your wish. The way the redhead's face lit up brought a smile to his own. Honestly, how long would he and Lily survive their solitude without the little strawberry's happy attitude? Standing up and doing a quick stretch, he waited for Lily and Ichigo to stand up too. Lily was curious about why Stark would want to go there, the hollows are weak down there, but when she noticed the way a smile stretched out through Ichigo's face, she understood why. You'll do anything to make him smile. Right, Stark? Looking at the brunette, Ichigo couldn't stop shaking around from anticipation. This was too exciting for him. Finally, something new and different. Okay, get behind me and get a good distance, you two. Stark watched them follow his instructions, and making sure they were a safe distance away, he put one arm up before firing a strong Zero to the ground, making up a huge hole in the white sands. Ichigo looks at how the sand surrounding the hole has turned to glass. Oh man, I can't wait until I'm older. Moving in close, Stark puts a hand on both their shoulders. He prepares himself for the way Ichigo's Ryatsu will try to leech on to his own. Looking down at them and asking a quick, "Are you ready?" Stark didn't even wait a second before he heard the exciting voices of Lily and Ichigo. With that being said, he sonido into the hole. When they left, a hollow appeared nearby. Its mask had a strange design than most hollows. Instead of round, it had a strange, almost rectangular-like shape. One could see amber-colored eyes behind it. It has shoulder-length pink hair with bangs sticking out from the right side of its mask. While it has no arms, it instead has 6 large, gray branch structures on his back, 3 on each side, which form a shape similar to the wings of a butterfly. Each branch has 12 equally spaced red strands that resemble falling drops. Its chest is normal until you get to his waist. Someone could see its hollow hole just below it if it wasn't for the multitude of purple tentacles reminiscent of a sea anemone that covers it. It has no legs but has a long tail which seems to end in a purple tear-like shape. The hollow amber eyes stared down at the hole. Looking away from it, the hollow started slithering some away, waiting to see if his newest interest would come up from it again. Come back soon. Ichigo-kun. The Forest of Minos. The Great Forest of Minos is nothing but a giant buffet of who eats who. Many types of hollows roam here. There's the giant Jillians that are walking around aimlessly. One could even find a special Jillian who has the strength to become an Ajuchas. The regular hollows, who finally got a taste of another hollow and went into a cannibalistic feeding fit, and many level Ajuchas who rather stay down where it's safe. Off into the distance one who could see a mass gathering of hollows going into a mass interdevouring feast. If left alone, the hollows would then merge and form a Jillian. Too bad for them, they were right at the end of a blue zero. That got the attention of every hollow around the area. Some came to investigate to find out what just occurred when out of nowhere they all started dropping to the floor dead. Not one of them could sense the powerful being. Finally touching the ground, Stark lets go of Ichigo and Lily. A shiver went down his spine. Kami, that always feels strange. Honestly, he hopes he doesn't do that a second time today. Turning around to both kids, he saw the redhead go up to a tree and touch it. Are the trees here not made of wood? The boy asks. This feels strange, almost feels like I'm touching a rock. The brunette and lime-haired shrugged in unison before they both said. We have never been here before, you know. Looking around more, the redhead notices how everything seems to feel like a vast jungle instead of a forest. Following up to one tree, he notices how they extend to a surface. Pointing up, he asks what he hopes was the right answer to his own question. That's where Hueco Mundo is, right? Following the kid's hand, Stark gave him a nod. That's right. No one knows how such a thing came to be, but right above here we have Hueco Mundo. How was Hueco Mundo made? Now wasn't that the biggest mystery to all the hollows? No one knows how such a thing happens. How did hollows know to come here after a time of living in the human world? Who was the original hollow? Who made Hueco Mundo? Stark looks at the boy before speaking. No one knows that. It's this world's greatest mystery. The redhead looks at everything around him. What does it mean to live a life as a hollow in Hueco Mundo? A place without life, no hope for sunny skies, no form of water. Ichigo looks at Stark with the most serious look a kid could pull off. Then I'll solve that mystery. Stark didn't know what to say to that. Was this boy, who only just been a hollow for 2 years, trying to solve the biggest mystery of their world? Why would he do such a thing? While Stark stares at Ichigo with a bewildered look, Lily was looking at him with a look of admiration. Would he really do such a thing to a world that he was just brought into? To find the answers that all hollows seem to ignore. The redhead's words seemed to leave the area with a heavy tension hanging in the air. After a while and the tension of Ichigo's words were long gone, Stark turned around and just gave a lazy wave with his hand. Well, happy birthday. Here's the Forest of Minos. The way he said it completely killed the mood for Ichigo. Couldn't he put it in a more exciting way? Letting out a groan, Ichigo looks at Stark. Really? You can't make it sound more exciting than that. He ends with a small huff. Yeah. Stark, say it again but make it sound better with a more enthusiastic voice. That came from an angry Lily. The man releases a long and annoying sigh. Clearing up his throat, Stark walks up to an open field. Turning around in an overdramatic fashion with his arms spread out, he said, in a much more exciting tone, Lily. Ichigo. Welcome to Minos Park. A distance away one could see the giant body of a Jillian walking by. Even let out a small roar. Quite the pleasurable touch for Stark's overdramatic scene, but it sure brought their mood back. With the mood finally brought back to life, Stark and Lily follow behind Ichigo, who's trying to see and memorize everything Minos Park offers. Minos Park. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Noticing how quiet the park was, Ichigo turns around to ask Stark when he remembers that hollows are probably just dying around them because of the brunette. Ichigo really likes the change of scenario. Don't get him wrong. Hueco Mundo has become a home to him, but watching the endless white sands could drive anyone insane. After a while of walking around and looking at the local wildlife, soul-eating monsters, the gang stops to rest on a down rock tree. Yeah, rock tree sounds about right. Ichigo's yellow eyes spotted a group of Jillians. Stark remembered the name and told him after he asked about it. He likes the way they walk around aimlessly and sometimes they end up bumping into each other, but these Jillians seem to be marching together in a group. Pointing at it, he looks at Stark and asks about it. The man didn't know either, and when the group went back to watching them again, they noticed one of the Jillian got cut in half. Exclamation point. Ichigo wouldn't mind about its death if it got devoured. That's kind of nature's way around here, but seeing it get cut in half made a deep part of his soul become enraged with hatred for some unexplained reason. The group kept watching as the Jillians kept getting cut down when Ichigo notices a strange hollow wearing what he could best describe as ragged-out clothes and a strange coat adorned with a bunch of hollow masks. It had a gazelle-like mask on its face. The strange thing about it was how he couldn't spot a hole anywhere on its body. He kept staring as the strange hollow killed the last of the Jillians. Everything it did just made little sense. Stark once said that all the hollows kill to eat and grow, but this hollow didn't even eat them. It only just slaughtered them. Watching the hollow leave in a hurry, he then notices another hollow appear. This one was a large Ajuchas-class hollow almost 3 meters tall. He had a large shell-like appendage on his back and had a grayish-purple skin color. Hollow hole in the left side of his chest and he saw what seems to be a large shell-like skirt around his waist. He couldn't quite get a look at its mask since it seems to chase the other hollow in a hurry. Get the hell back here, Shinigami. The group heard the way it calls out to the other hollow or Shinigami. Yet again, hate reached Ichigo's soul. That word seems to trigger something deep inside of him. Like natural hate. Turning to look at Stark, the redhead notices how the man was walking the complete opposite direction the other two beings went. Where are you going? Turning around, Stark says. Where does it look like? We're not gonna bother with whatever problems are happening down here, so we're leaving. We could end up with a mark behind our backs. He turns back around and starts walking again. But no one can find us because of what I'm doing. Yeah, well, it'll probably just give out. Soon. It's been 2 years now and I'm still going at it. Stark stops at his tracks and turns around. He kept staring into Ichigo's eyes. Lily's lone eye flickers between Stark and Ichigo, hoping nothing too serious would happen. Ichigo's serious stare lock on to Stark's lazy one. No one said anything until Stark spoke again. Why do you care that a few hollows just die, Ichigo? You have seen how I kill before and you said nothing. So why should you care about it now? How was that moment any different to what I do? He spoke in an emotionless tone. Ichigo stayed quiet and looked down at the ground, trying to think of the right words to say back. Lily stares at the scene with a grimace look on her face. Taking the redhead's silences as a defeat, Stark turned back around and started walking, ready to call them when he heard Ichigo's voice. It's because I care. Lily and Stark went back to face him. I care about what happens here, in Hueco Mundo. I may still be new to all this, but if there's one thing I learn from you, is to follow your instincts, and right now my instincts are telling me I should care about protecting the hollows from pointless killing. You're right, I don't care when hollows die when you kill them, but that's because I need to eat, but that's because our instincts make us eat when we need to. We never kill in a pointless manner, Stark. Finishing what were hopefully the right words, Ichigo looks back at the brunette. It completely caught Stark off guard with the look on Ichigo's face. The serious look on the redhead's face made it seem like he was teaching him a life lesson. Before he could say anything back, Ichigo ran off towards the direction the Hollow and Shinigami went. Watching him leave made Lily break out of her stutter moment. "Stark, we need to follow him. He might end up in danger." Ready to make a quick run after the redhead, Lily turns around only to see Stark still glued to his spot. "Stark, what are you doing? Ichigo might get hurt. Don't you care if something happens to him?" That brought Stark out from his shock. "I care." He stares into Lily's light pink eye and says, in a sad quiet voice, "I care, for both of you, I don't want to see any of you two get hurt. That's why I will do anything to protect you, even run from a pointless situation." This was a new side to Stark. He said nothing like this before. To protect anyone. Ichigo has grown on you, huh? Taking a breath, Lily looks at him. "If you care, then let's protect him then." That seems to fix him right up and more because for the first time, Lily saw the most serious look Stark has ever shown. There was a fire in his eyes, a determination she had never seen before. Walking up to her, Stark puts a hand on her shoulders. With a quick look to her eye, he told her a small thank you before they sonido after Ichigo. In the distance, Ichigo now wore a scowl on his face. Trying his best to find the Hollow and Shinigami. Why does that word trigger him so much? Shaking his head, he looked around him until he heard a sonido behind him. Turning around thinking Stark would take him back by force, he got scared when he saw the look on his face. Was he mad at him for running off? Opening his mouth to tell him off, he stops when Stark's determined voice reaches his ears. "Let's go. I felt they were not that far away from here. We can catch up with them." Well, that's new. Taking back what he was going to say, Ichigo stares at Stark before asking. "Are you not mad at me?" He had to say it. There's no way Stark would take him over there. Maybe it's a trick from the brunette to take them back home. He looks at Lily's face to find any hint, but all he saw from her was a plain look. "No, I'm not mad. If what you want to do is protect the Hollows from that Shinigami, then I'll protect them with you." The way he said it. Ichigo looks up into his eyes. They hold the same truth when he had promised those 2 years ago about being a part of his pack. To not be alone. He looks back at Lily to see a big smile on her face now. He was speaking the truth. With a quick nod, Ichigo let Stark rest a hand on his head. Before leaving, Stark looks down to the redhead. "I know you want to protect them and all, but you have to take me into account too. My presence might kill off the other Hollow and I know you don't want that to happen, so we'll look from a distance. Got it?" Finishing, he looks into Ichigo's yellow eyes. He saw how he didn't like it, but it is the only thing they can do. With a nod, they sonido. After cutting down the last of the Jillians that the Hollow was commanding and making sure it was following him, Ashido lured it towards the trap he had set up. A good isolated spot where others won't help the Hollow. That's how he usually kills the tougher Ajuchas that roam down here. Looking back to be sure that Hollow was still following him, he speeds up a little faster. Reaching the trap zone, the bottom of one tree where its roots had shot up in twisted ways with no room for quick moments if you were big. That's why he brought this Hollow here. He turns around and aims with his right arm. He shot the Hollow with a quick Kido. Heido number 31, Shikaho. A small red orb gathers at the palm of his hand, and then he fires it at the Hollow. He's no expert in Kido, but he meant it to be more of a sting to the Hollow than a killing blow. Hearing the scream of rage, he went inside the roots. The Hollow stops right outside the trap. It had a strange, almost skull-like shape. Where its ears would stick out seems to be stump horns instead. Gray-purple stripes decorate the mask. Two coming up from the top of the mouth and ending by its eyes, two more came down from between the mask's forehead and ending in an outer spiral. The hollow didn't even think twice before rushing in at the weird place. This Shinigami has been a pain in the ass these last few hours. He completely forgot how this little game of theirs has started, but now he will finish it. Running inside, he saw the Shinigami discard the mask it wore and finally saw his face. He has dark red hair, pale skin, and gray eyes. The hollow's yellow eyes stare down at the Shinigami's gray ones. Thought you could get away from me, huh? A smile spread across the hollow's face. It's time to finish this. The Shinigami looked at him with a plain look. He brought out a katana with a green hilt and a rectangular tsuba which he had inside his coat and just rushed to the hollow. The hollow raises his left arm and slams it down with great speed at the Shinigami's straightforward attack, but before being hit, Ashido uses a quick Shuinpa to appear to the creature's far right side, landing on a root, and then came at him again using said root to push himself faster. Raising his right arm to block the blade, he notices how the Shinigami once again used Shuinpa. Turning around to his left side, thinking about how the Shinigami would strike his back, he readies himself to block. Expecting to see the Shinigami, he guessed wrong as Ashido's voice came from above him where he was upside down on the bottom of a root pointing at him with a finger. Heido number 4. Byakurai. A concentrated bolt of lighting came from his finger. Thinking fast, the hollow moves back and barely dodged the spell. Ready to shoot up at Ashido, the hollow stops when he notices how the Shinigami vanish again. Looking around, he felt a cut on his left arm. Seeing the back of a coat, he made a quick swing down with his right arm when again the Shinigami vanished. Stop running. Around, damn it. The hollow screams while looking for Ashido. With its back turned, the Shinigami went for a killing blow but stopped soon after the shell-like skirt unwrapped from the hollow's waist. Ashido raises his blade to block the hidden sharp tail that disguised itself as a shell skirt. Turning around, the hollow looks at the yet unchanged face of the Shinigami. TSK, I was hoping to have tricked you and finished this already. The Shinigami just replied with a plain voice. I have killed many hollows who have hidden limbs and such before, trust me, you're nothing different. Pushing the tail to the side, Ashido Shuinpa back a few distances and watched how the tail followed him. Every time the tail was too close to him, the redhead moved a few more steps back, trying to see how far the limb could reach. Believing the tail finally reached its limit, Ashido uses a quick flash step to get right back at the hollow's back. Bringing down his blade to cut off the hollow's left arm, he quickly noticed movements from the hollow's back. Jumping at the last minute, he barely dodges several long appendages. Once again, Ashido flash step on top of a root. Taking in everything the hollow seems to have. A tail that only reaches a good 30 feet. Appendages on his back that can reach 10 feet and seem to go back. Great. So his back is off limits. He can hardly move because of his size, so I have the advantage there. Breaking from his thoughts, he jumps to another root when the hollow speeds up to hit him, only to hit an empty spot. Never mind, he's fast but can only seem to strike at a straight line because of the surroundings. Still analyzing his opponent, Ashido notices the way the hollow's arm got stuck to the root. Okay, so he punches hard enough to leave himself stuck for a few seconds. With a plan made up, the redhead charged at the back of the hollow who had finally pulled his arm off. The hollow grinned at the foolish mistake. Ha! I got you now. The hollow raised its tail before bringing it back down towards Ashido. He wasn't expecting to get the Shinigami, he just wanted him to move closer so he could use his appendages instead. Seeing him dodge and move in close to his back, he shot up his trap, hoping to get him. Ashido, predicting his move, stepped to the side with his katana already raised and he brought it down on the appendages, cutting off a few. The hollow screamed and used his tail to whip his left side when the redhead used a Shuinpa to move in closer and cut the start of his tail. Screaming again, the hollow took a swing with his left arm, but the Shinigami used a flash step to land into another root. Seeing red, the Hollow let out a scream and charged at him with his right arm up and bringing down on the Shinigami, only to once again miss Ishido and leave him stuck. Turning around and seeing the Shinigami going in for the kill, he uses the last of his appendages. Predicting that move again, Ishido steps aside and cuts down the last of the Hollow's appendages. Getting himself back unstuck, the Hollow charges a Zero in his mouth. Not even fazed about the attack, the Shinigami puts on one of the many Hollow masks on his coat and lets the attack hit him. As smoke covered everything, the Hollow let out a sigh of relief and started walking away until he felt a cut on his right shoulder. Turning around, he saw the Shinigami unharmed. What the hell? He took a Zero head on and didn't even take damage. The only damage he saw was on the mask. Again. Do you think I haven't seen everything from you creatures? I don't just wear your kind's masks for nothing. They give me a Hollow presence and will also shield me from a powerful Zero. With one arm raised, Ishido fired another concentrated bolt of lightning at the Hollow's left leg. Watching the Hollow falling face down, Ishido flash-stepped a few meters back and concentrated on another Shikaho, making sure this one was strong enough to finish the job. He fires. Just before the Hollow got hit, a small child steps in between the projectile. Both fighters' eyes shot open when the kid took the full blast. From a distance, Lily and Stark stared at the scene in shock. A few minutes before that, the group caught up right before the fighting began. They had to stay hidden not too far away to look at the battle. Stark told Ichigo that they would only do something if things turned bad for the Hollow. Watching the battle play out, Ichigo was silently cheering for the Hollow. He watches how the Hollow had the Shinigami in a tight end, but the mood changes when the man starts cutting down the Hollow by using his surroundings to his advantage. He was ready to tell Stark to do something when a voice in his head spoke. "Sonido, child." Not knowing what to do, he let his body guide him, and before he knew it, he had used Sonido and gotten right in between the spell and Hollow. Everyone was quiet. No one said anything until they saw the smoke clear out and Ichigo appeared with his arms crossed in front of him. No kind of scratch on him. Ishido was the first one to recover when he saw the child. "Kid, what the hell are you doing here?" He stopped once Ichigo's arms dropped, and the boy glared at him with those hollow-like eyes. Getting a better look, Ishido notices the hole in his chest that the blast uncovered. The older redhead's shocked look changed to one of disgust. "He's just a monster that looks like a child." The Hollow behind him was still shocked. "This Hollow save him." He would have said kid, but when the boy turned around and he saw his hole and eyes, he knew better. When he was about to say something, everyone in the area felt the most powerful Reiatsu ever. Everything went quiet. How the hell didn't I sense this before, how the hell didn't I sense this before? Both the Shinigami and Hollow thought. Everyone turns to where the powerful Reiatsu was coming from. Ichigo recognizes the figure that just Sonido into the field as Stark. He would have said something if it wasn't for the look on his face. He was mad. No, he was furious, but not at him. His glare was set on the Shinigami. Each step he took, everything seemed to get heavy. Ishido and the Hollow barely could breathe while Ichigo felt fine. Stark walks up to Ichigo while glaring at the Shinigami and says in a commanding voice. "Get him out of here," he said with a finger towards the Hollow, "and take him over where Lily is at." Not even thinking twice, Ichigo got a hold of the Hollow and Sonido to Lily. Ishido just stares at the newcomer. Another monster that looks like a man. He was ready to tell him off when the brunette spoke. "I'm going to kill you." Ishido didn't miss the tone in the man's voice, the Hollow meant it. The Shinigami barely saw the man move, but he was already right in front of him. Using his fastest Shuinpa, he moved back and was ready to make a run for it when he saw the man appear literally right in front of him. He didn't even raise a hand or did any gesture but a blue Zero form on his chest. Thinking he could dodge, it left him in shock at the speed Stark launched it at. Not even the coat could save him. He left nothing of him. With that done, Stark Sonido to Ichigo. When he got there, the brunette saw both children speaking with the hollow. He kept his distance, making sure not to kill the hollow. Ichigo senses the man, and he locks his eyes with Stark before walking up to him. He said thanks for saving him. Okay. The way Stark's voice sounded empty got Ichigo scared. He says that eating hollows will help him recover. But he's asking us if we can help him by hunting for him. That's fine with me. Again, his voice lacks any emotion. Ichigo knew he did something stupid. Ready to apologize to him, he was left speechless when the man bent down to hug him. Please never do that again, Ichigo. So that's what it was. It scared him how he could have gotten hurt. Returning the hug, they both let a small silence fill the area. After staying down in the forest of Minos for a week to help the hollow, they were ready to leave. The hollow looks down at the boy. I know I said this a lot this past week, but thank you. Ichigo just smiles since he was just glad to help. It's fine, don't worry about it. The hollow shakes his head. No, what you did doesn't just happen in Hueco Mundo, Ichigo-sama. My life belongs to you now. He finishes with a deep bow to the redhead. That caught Ichigo off guard. Giving the hollow a sheepish smile, the redhead rubs the back of his neck. No, it's okay, there's. Ichigo thought about something. Do Shinigami come here often? Looking back at Ichigo, the hollow replies. Sometimes squads come here to make sure nothing gets too extreme, and when that happens they usually start killing us. He finishes with a disgusted look on his face. With that being said, Ichigo thought about it. If you want to repay me, then become a guardian. That took the hollow by surprise. Him, a guardian? But if that's what the boy wanted. Giving Ichigo another bow, he spoke up again. If that is your wish, then I'll be a guardian. Ichigo-sama. Ichigo, time to go. Lily shouted. She and Stark were a suitable distance away so that her companion wouldn't kill the hollow. All right, I'm going. Ready to use Sonido, yeah, he was loving doing that. Another thing popped into his head. Ichigo looks back to the hollow. Hey, there's also another thing I want you to do. The hollow looked back at him and waited for his master to give him another order. I want you to spread a new name for this place. Start calling it Minos Park. Ichigo told him with a grin on his face. Laughing at his master's request, the hollow happily replied. Very well, Ichigo-sama. With that being said, the redhead Sonido to his companions and up through the same hole they came from. The hollow kept staring at the hole. Things will change around here soon. He left to do his job as a guardian. Sonido is amazing. There's just nothing more to say about it. With the static noise you make when reappearing, how could you not love it? Stark makes it look badass with the way his Sonido works, which makes him seem to teleport because he appears solidly instead of the shimmering effect problem he seems to have. Honestly, it is the most badass thing in the world. Okay, Ichigo was lying to himself on that last part. Zero will be the most badass thing in the world the moment he learns how to use it. The redhead just doesn't know why the stupid thing won't come naturally to him the way Sonido did. He would have asked Stark for tips, but the man would just reply with his stupid when you're older excuse. After they returned from their little adventure in Minos Park, the redhead had been busy using Sonido non-stop. That is until his appetite came back to him, and boy did he eat a lot again. Stark said to him how much he had been using Sonido, he probably went low on energy. Apparently, since he's so inexperienced with it, he has been using an unnecessary amount of Reiatsu towards it. Well, at least Stark gave him a tip on how he can work on it. He thought the man would have let him figure it out by himself, but turns out he just gave him the tip so he can learn and make him stop going out for more food. Lazy jerk. Their relationship seems to be mostly unchanged. After the way he could have gotten himself killed back in Minos Park, Stark has just been more, overprotective. When Stark's hunting, he makes it fast, and now the brunette makes sure for both him and Lily to hide inside or by caves that Stark makes sure it is safe for them, or any place someone won't see them while he goes out to get food. Honestly, he's turning into a mother hen with them. As of now, while Stark's out getting something to eat, both children were waiting for him on what seems to be some kind of strange ruins. Who knew such things could be out here? They only stay in the desert, so Ichigo has seen none of this before. He guesses something good came out from that little incident. He and Lily have been exploring the ruins. They look a lot like pillars and with broken down walls. Using Sonido must be nice, huh? Said Lily, who was sitting on top of a fallen pillar. Ichigo turned around from inspecting a pillar, which has what he could guess were drawings of some sort, to look back at her. Yeah, it's cool, but you tired up fast. He tries to make it sound like no big deal since Lily has been trying to use Sonido ever since he could, but she just couldn't get a hold of it. He only explains that it requires Ryatsu to use, but besides that, he couldn't elaborate more on it. It all came instinctively to him the same way it does to Stark, and all they had to work with was that it involves Ryatsu. He stops using Sonido after the way her face becomes crestfallen when she sees him use it. She said nothing back, and that just made it worse for him. Don't worry about it. You'll get it one day, and when you do, we can start bugging Stark together. That brought a small smile to her face. Thanks, Ichigo. Pushing herself off, Lily walked towards the redhead. So have you found anything interesting so far? With her hands behind her head, she looked over his shoulders when he went back to inspect what she could guess was a circle. Wow, so interesting. She didn't get what the big deal was about the circles found on all the pillars, but it got Ichigo's attention. Ichigo turned his head and scratched the back of it. Yeah, I think I got something. He turns back around and points at the circle. It looks like this represents Hueco Mundo's moon. With a blank stare, Lily says, yeah. No. She points up to the moon in the sky. It looks nothing like what we always had. She was talking about the never, ever-changing phase of the moon that's above them. While the moon seems full, there seems to be something else in front of the moon. It was basically a lunar eclipse, but who knows what's the object that's blocking the moon? I mean, what else could it be that's circular around here? The redhead pointed down at the random drawings of different hollows. No matter how many pillars we have found, we see the circle above the hollows. He knew they were hollows with the way the bodies have holes in them. What else would that mean? She shrugged her shoulders. I don't know. Maybe they worship a circle as a god. She only got a deadpan look from him. With a mock glare, she pointed to the figures way above the circle. All right, genius, then tell me what that is supposed to mean. Looking at where she was pointing, Ichigo frowns. No matter how many pillars they find, all of them show the exact things. Hollows who are looking up at the moon itself and the humanoid figures above it. He doesn't know if the figures are hollow or not. There was no hole shown in them, but they all have a full mask on. Another weird thing about it was the swords and shields above them. The left side comprises 5 figures and 5 swords above them, a middle figure that has both, and the right side that has 5 shields with 5 figures. A sigh escapes his lips. I don't know about that, but that's what I will find out about it. We're. Ichigo looks back at her, locking their eyes together. You and I will find what this all means together. Lily said, causing a blush to appear on both their faces. Looking away from her, the redhead stutters. And what about Stark? That got Lily's face redder. She completely forgot about him. Before she could say anything, another voice spoke up. Why isn't this such a cute scene? Forgetting about their embarrassment, they both turn around to stare at the hollow sitting on top of a pillar. Its mask had a strange design from most hollows. Instead of being round, it had a strange, almost rectangular-like shape, but it still kept the skull-like appearance. Amber color eyes, with shoulder-length pink hair with bangs coming out from the right side of the mask. That was strange for a hollow to have hair. All the ones they ate didn't have any. While it has no arms, the hollow instead has 6 large, gray branch structures on its back, 3 on each side, which form a shape similar to a butterfly's wings. Each branch has 12 equally spaced red strands that resemble falling drops. Its chest is normal until you get to his waist. They couldn't see his holes since a multitude of purple tentacles reminiscent of a sea anemone covered it. No legs, but it has a long tail which seems to end in a purple tear-like shape. They both stare at the hollow. Stark made sure that no one was here before he left. So how did this hollow not only dodge Stark's senses but also found them when Ichigo's natural cloaking ability should still be up? Unless... Ichigo's eyes open wide. Did it go away with me using so much Ryatsu? Before using Sonido, he did nothing that would make him run low on Ryatsu. No, that can't be. If that was true then Stark would be here the moment he felt us. So what's going on? How did this hollow sneak up on them? The horrified looks on both kids' faces made the hollow release a small laugh. My, it seems you both don't know how I could find you, eh? Ichigo-kun. Lily-chan. The way their face turned pale and shocked made him release another fit before calming down so he could explain. Oh, don't worry about that interesting ability of yours Ichigo-kun, I can safely say it's still active even after how much you use that amazing speed of yours. They couldn't see the facial expression because of the mask, but the way his eyes twinkle made it unsettling for them. How did this hollow know that? He knew their names as well. Ichigo remembers how Stark told him about feeling a set of eyes on them. Is this the hollow he meant by it? Seeing the way Ichigo's eyes seemed to calm down and take a more calculated look on them, Sale decided it was time to stop playing with them and explain before the girl remembers about how she could bring back the man. And with the way he kills all hollow by his presence alone, I won't stand a chance. With a bow, he introduces himself. The name is Sale Aporo Grands, or you can just call me Sale for short. Well, at least they now have a name, but still, they have no answers to what he wants and how he found them. Before the girl could say anything, Sale finally decided to at least get one of their worries out of the way. Don't worry about it. I won't eat any of you. That seems to do the trick since they both release a breath. How were you able to find us? You say Ichigo is still covering us. So how come Stark never sent you before? No point for Lily to not mention him. She and Ichigo always talk about the fun pranks they pull on him, and if the Pinkette knew their names, he probably knows Stark at this point. Oh yes, that's a very interesting ability. No one can feel your presence without being inside a good 30 feet of Ichigo-kun's radius. No matter how good your senses are, it's still impossible to find you. But there's a minor flaw in an almost perfect ability. You yourself can't feel anyone outside of it. Sale waited for them to understand the information, and it was no surprise that he noticed how Ichigo figured it first. Now the redhead understood everything. It explains so much now. All those years ago when Stark tried to reach out and could only sense himself. The way he said about sensing someone on them, but then the presence would disappear. Sale has been testing out his ability all this time. You say you won't eat us. How do we know you're not lying about it? There was no way for someone like Sale to not try to eat them. This hollow was able to figure out his own ability. The hollow releases an empty laugh. Oh. There's no point for me to eat you when I won't be able to reach the next level of evolution. The way he spoke made him sound so depressing. What do you mean? How could you not evolve? All you need to do is keep eating and you'll reach for it. Never going through the hollow stages, Lily pretty much only knew that eating should keep developing you no matter what. There shouldn't be anything to stop you if you just keep eating. Releasing another hollow laugh, Sale said. And that's where you're wrong. Using one of his branches, he raises the pink bangs, showing the way his hair comes out from a crack on his mask. That got an empty look from Ichigo and Lily, looking at each other and then back at Sale. The redhead points at the crack. What does that mean now? Sale lets his hair drop and looks at Ichigo, with what the redhead could best describe as a stupefied expression. Do you truly not know what this means? It's almost common knowledge to all the hollows about what it means to have their mask cracked. The only thing he got from both kids was a blank stare. Do you really not know what it means? You must have felt it at least through some point in your evolution to protect your mask from every danger. Lily let a sigh escape her lips before staring at the hollow. Oh no, you're asking the wrong people about that. I'm not even a simple soul, while Ichigo here pretty much never went through the steps of hollow evolution. She was expecting Sale to freak out and she would get a merry laugh from him, but his eyes gleam with an almost teacher-like expression. Well, you see, every hollow must protect his mask because of what it represents. He even started speaking like a teacher would to a student. In no way of being rude, more like trying to make it feel like they're about to learn something exciting. Sale waited for one of them to ask. And what does it represent? Ichigo needed to know. Stark wouldn't know anything about it, even though the man promised to tell him. Besides, this could probably lead to a way to solve one mystery surrounding Hueco Mundo. Looking at Ichigo's face, the pink-eyed girl facepalm. The look on his face was one of excitement. Did this idiot forget the position we're in? Before she could scowl at him about forgetting what exactly was going on, Sale answered him with a too eager voice. Why, I'm glad you asked, Ichigo-kun. Ever wonder how we can live with, let us say, a hole in our body? Getting a yes from the boy, he continues. Well, since you never went through the stages of evolution like your little girlfriend here, she's not my girlfriend, / I'm not his girlfriend. Ignoring that outburst, Sale went on with his explanation. Our masks represent the heart we lost when the chain that once covered our hole either wears off or is pulled off. He notices how the kids didn't miss that last comment. He went back to the topic before the memories of an older blonde got out. Because of the heart it represents, you could say once a hollow has his mask destroy, the hollow himself dies also, but if a hollow gets a crack on his mask, then one can't reach the next stage of evolution, because think of it as an unhealthy heart, and because of that, one won't be able to grow. And because of that they permanently cease evolving and stop regressing into a Jillian. Understand everything? Getting a nod from them, he waits for questions they may have. Ichigo took everything Sale said to his heart or mask. Wait. You said our mask represents our heart. But how does that work for me when I don't have a mask? Sale looks back at Ichigo with a gleam in his eyes. To him, the group was a complete mystery. He has never seen hollows like them, but the boy himself was of a bigger mystery, with the lack of a mask, white skin, and yellow and black eyes. But he was a mystery he was all too eager to get his hands or his branches on. Oh, and that's why I wish to meet you already, Ichigo-kun. You're one giant puzzle I wish to solve. Trying to ignore that last part, Ichigo asks another question. You said repressing into a Jillian? How does eating keep you away from turning back to those giant guys? Don't you just stay as you are? Sale likes the way the boy seems to think about everything he says. If only he would have listened to me. Forgetting about that bastard, the Pinkette went into teacher mode again. You see, Ichigo-kun, when a Jillian evolves, they become an Ajuchas. Know it or not, we still need to eat to grow even further because that's what drives us, but, there's another reason we must continue devouring hollows. Stopping for a dramatic moment, he waited for Lily and Ichigo to move in closer. And that's because if we don't, our mind becomes absorbed by the other hollows comprising our form, and then you will revert into a Jillian, and when that happens the subsequent lack of an individual's will prevent the reverted Jillian from becoming an Ajuchas again. That finally makes sense about all the dumb Jillians that bump with each other when they visited Minos Park. They were just empty shells with no guidance. So Sale can't go any further, but he can't go back either. He almost felt sorry for the guy. There was something nagging in the back of Ichigo's mind. The way he says everything about chains and no longer evolving when you break your mask. How do you know all this? He regrets asking that question when he saw the look in his eyes. He saw hurt, pain, and betrayal. Sale lets out another hollow laugh. You got that, huh, Ichigo-kun? You're an overly observant kid. Done laughing, he looks down to the kids. Even Lily was paying attention at this point. I gain nothing by neither telling them nor telling them at all. It wouldn't hurt him if they knew. So why not humor them about his sad brief life? That's because it was my own older brother, who not only turned me into a hollow but also broke my mask. That completely caught them off guard. His own brother did this to him. Why would he do that? Before they even voice their thoughts, Sale starts explaining everything. You see, when a hollow's mask cracks, it doesn't just stop the evolution, but one could also gain memories from their human life. Well, I guess I should start from the very beginning. Taking a break, Sale prepared himself for the painful memories that he made sure to never look back at. It all started one day when my older brother came and picked me up from college so that I could visit our parents back home. I don't know where we live at since some memories still haven't returned to me, but we were driving our parents' car down a road on a mountain when an argument broke out between us. My brother didn't go to college and was unemployed. He blames me for it since our parents always seemed to give me everything I ever wanted, but I worked for everything I had. My brother, calling it utter bullshit, completely went under a road rage and ignored the fact that we moved out from our lane. Looking back at the road, I pointed out the upcoming car when my brother took a sharp turn to bring us back to our lane, but he lost control and we ended up driving off the mountain and dying. He said that last part with a shrug from his branches. Like what happened didn't matter anymore, and it didn't. He got over that already. Taking in a small breath, he continues. I don't know how long it took us to find out we died, but we still didn't get along as a ghost. A fight again broke out between us. That's when my brother notices the chain. He made a quick grab for it and completely pulled it off, and my hollow transformation began, but I made sure I took him with me when I pulled his chain too. After that, my memories aren't clear. I don't know how I got here. All I was doing was listening to my hunger. Wait, when did your brother ever have the chance to break your mask for you to remember all of this? That was Lily's curious voice that Sale heard. He would have thought Ichigo would have asked instead. Taking a quick glance at the boy, Sale noticed the lack of emotions on his face, but his eyes told something different. He looks back at Lily's pink eye and goes back to his story. Not so long ago. I say about 2 years ago because that's when you appeared, Ichigo-kun. You saved my life. That got an expression from the redhead. I just became an Ajuchas and came up from the forest of Minos, hunger still driving me. I was eating when I got hit from my right side by something with significant force. Standing up, I noticed a pack of hollows surrounding me. Getting ready to flee, a giant hollow with blonde hair and a minotaur-like appearance came at me and cracked my mask. My memories came back to me right at that moment. Then maybe I let out a small hissing fit and started cursing my brother, but believe it or not, I heard him calling me out. What's his name? Sale stops to look at Ichigo. The boy seems ready to lose it. But why? What's the point? He guesses it won't hurt to tell him. His name is Yilfort Granz. The boy nods and goes back into controlling his temper. The Pinkette wonders if what he'll say next would be the breaking point to the redhead's upheld rage that was locked behind his eyes. Anyway, after I cursed Yilfort and I heard my name, I started looking back at the hollow who punched me when he started laughing like a maniac. Turns out this hollow was my brother. Who would have known, huh? After that, I had hoped he would listen to me and let me go when he said this was his way of a payback. Heh. Would you believe me if I told you that my brother would have been ready to kill and devoured me? That seems to be the last straw for Ichigo. Next thing Lily and Sale knew, they felt a weight on their backs that forced them to their knees. It wasn't the rapier that became heavy, they could still breathe normally and weren't dying. That's because it's the surrounding gravity that got heavier. Sale looks at a pillar break apart because of the weight. He looks around and notices that only the things inside of Ichigo's cloaking radius seem to be the only things affected. "Ichigo, stop!" Lily yelled. Looking around, the redhead notices the way everything seems broken. He subconsciously stops what he was doing when he saw both Lily and Sale press down on the white sand. Helping the Limonette up, Ichigo started apologizing to her. That was new to Lily. Ichigo has never done this before. Are there more abilities hidden inside him? Before the Limonette could ask, Sale spoke up first. "Why? Why does it matter for you to know my brother's name? Why be mad about my life?" He was still lying down on the sand. He felt the boy's anger with what he just did. But why, though? I was an older brother, too. Sale raises only his head to look at Ichigo. Lily already knew about this since Ichigo has already told her this part of the memories that came back to him. "I had 2 little sisters before I died. My parents told me that as a big brother, I'm supposed to be their guardian. Someone not just to protect them but to encourage them. You're supposed to teach them too, you're supposed to be there for them, no matter what you go through because you're all family, no matter what." Sale wanted to cry. Why wasn't his own brother like the boy in front of him? To help him when instead he wanted to kill him for good. "You're a good older brother, Ichigo-kun. When my brother and his pack sensed a powerful Ryoryoku nearby, they ran away. When they left, I soon started searching for who it was that just saved me. That's when I discovered you and your little pack. You saved me without even knowing about it. I tried to reach you, but the power alone you show scared me. So I followed you around for 2 years, hoping that one day I could find the strength to get close to you. Forgetting to eat, I learned how not only does a crack mask bring back memories but also the whole devolution. So that's why Sale has followed them for so long. You're welcome." Ichigo sends the Pinkette his best big brother smile, a weird thing to do. "So now what? You finally reach me, so what are you going to do?" Sale must have had some kind of plan at this point. "I wish for you to eat me." He knew saying that wasn't what he originally wanted to do. Sale stares at the shocked look on both their faces. "Ichigo, now that I can no longer evolve, there's no point for me to keep trying in a world like this. I wanted to learn everything I could about this world, but now I should probably help you instead. You protected me with your power, so I wish to protect you by becoming strength for you." He finishes with a bow. This is not what Ichigo was expecting from him. He wouldn't do that to him. There must be some way to help him. Millions of thoughts ran through his head when he heard a voice, and he listened to it. It was telling him that there was a way to save him. "I know how to fix your mask." Both Lily and Sale stare at him in shock. "Fix his mask? How can you fix someone's heart?" Before he could ask, Ichigo started walking up to him and stood right in front of him. They both stare at each other's eyes. Amber met yellow. "Do you trust me?" He said this while bringing up his arm to the upper right side of Sale's mask. He kept looking back at Ichigo. He had nothing else to lose. Sale slowly nodded. "I do, Ichigo-kun." Ichigo let his body guide him. He gathered rapier in his hand and swiped it down in the air in front of Sale's mask. The Pinkette felt nothing, but he noticed the way Lily kept staring at him in shock and the smile on Ichigo's face. Using his branch-like arms to touch his right side, Sale noticed the lack of hair and the crack. The crack on his mask was absent. But that's not the only thing about it. He couldn't see it, but his mask has changed colors. It was now pitched black. Lily looked at the black mask. How the hell did Ichigo know how to do that? Before she could ask, Ichigo spoke up first. "I don't know how I did it. I just follow my instincts. The hell? He could read Min. No, I'm not reading your mind. A smile came to his face. Your eyes are showing all the confusion in them. Oh, so that's what it was. Lily rolls her eye. Cheeky bastard. Before she was ready to tell him how corny he sounded, Lily stopped at the sound of sobbing. They both turned back to Sail, who just seems to let everything out at this point. Before she knew it, Ichigo went up to the hollow and gave him a hug. Is okay now, Sail, I know you were alone before but now you don't have to be. He remembers how Stark promised him a pack but together for 2 years. It felt more like a family. You don't have to be alone anymore. You can become a part of our pack. A part of our family. Those words did nothing more than just make Sail cry harder. Going up to the pair, Lily went in for a hug too. After a while, Sail lets go of Ichigo and Lily when they all noticed the blue Zero. Looks like Stark's done. I hope he got enough food. With that being said, Ichigo put a hand on Lily and Sail. Before they left, Lily mentioned the one little detail about weak hollows getting too close to Stark. Ichigo, I don't think it's a good idea to bring Sail. I agreed with her, Ichigo-kun. I might end up dying. I have seen how hollows die by being near that man. The only thing they got from the redhead was a smile and a quick, trust me, before they vanished with a sonido. In the distance away, Stark stood with a good amount of food. I guess moving around helps with the food supplies. He already fired his Zero and was now waiting for Ichigo to come and bring Lily. When the brunette hears a sonido, he turns around, ready to greet them when he notices, what he could best describe it, a moth-like hollow. I know I told him how my power is like fire to moths, but come on. How the hell is there such a thing as a moth-looking hollow? Stark kept staring at the redhead. He just knew it was him that did something about this hollow because only Ichigo brings these many headaches to him. Actually, he notices something about the new hollow. He wasn't dying by being around him. How come? Is it the mask? With the way Lily seems to look shocked, he supposes she didn't see this coming either. Great. Ichigo just kept staring at him with a smile on his face. He lets out a long sigh. Well, might as well get this over with. So. Something interesting happened to you too, I assume. This felt awkward for Sail. He can't remember feeling this uncomfortable around anyone before. He tried to start a conversation with Stark, but the man was too intimidating. Oh man, why did he say yes to come along with the brunette to get food? Oh right. Ichigo got hungry, so now it was both his and Stark's responsibility to get food like everyone else. Everyone but Lily and Ichigo. It's been just a month since he became a part of Ichigo's weird pack. Honestly, the boy wasn't lying when he said how it has a family-like feel. As weird as that may sound, he couldn't find any other better word for it. While Stark was wary around him at first, through the second week, he forgot about his presence and went back to being lazy. The man still kept a sharp eye on him. He expected questions from the brunette in their travel, but Ichigo reassured him that everything was fine and Stark was just acting overprotective. Asking why that would be the case, he got told an interesting story to say at least. Who knew a minor event like that could turn Stark to a mother hen? Still doesn't help that he's now alone with the man, away from the kids, hunting or fishing since all they do is stay still and Stark releases his Ryatsu. Watching how the hungry hollows come and die sure made him glad that he could be around Stark without dying. If only he could say something to break the stupid, awkward silence. So have you figured it out yet? Sail turns towards the brunette with a puzzled look. He kept staring at Stark, hoping for the man to at least elaborate more on what he meant. Stark only lifted one of his fingers to his face. Is there something on his face? Ah, you're talking about the black mask. Just getting a nod from the man, he thought about what the whole thing meant. When he thought all Ichigo did was fix his mask from the crack, He was more than surprised to learn that his mask had changed from white to black. What does a black mask even mean? Sale shook his head. I wish I knew more around this point, but if I had to take a guess, I say the mask prevents me from dying around you. I can still feel your Reiatsu, but the mask seems to make it less lethal for me. Another thing I learn as well is that my body seems to take in more Reisha too. Usually, Hueco Mundo has Reisha to stabilize hollows, but the amount we receive is too little compared to when we eat other hollows, but the mask seems to be absorbing more from Hueco Mundo. He tried to make it sound like he knew what he was saying, but he was more than anything trying to convince himself. Damn it, that little strawberry is giving him a headache by just trying to figure out what he did to him. However, he won't quit now. With more mysteries coming from Ichigo the moment he solves the boy, it'll be his greatest achievement. Stark thought about everything Sale said. The hollow sounded sure about how the masks works. He himself tried to figure it out through the first 2 weeks of them being together by releasing more of Reiatsu around the group. He notices the way Ichigo ignores it like it's not even there. Lily being a part of him doesn't feel it, but Sale shows that he could feel the change with how he slows down before he goes back to acting normal. Something he said stuck out though. You said your body is taking in more Reisha, and the mask is absorbing even more from Hueco Mundo. Could it be that the mask is absorbing not just Hueco Mundo but mine as well? That got Sale thinking. Absorbing his Reisha? Now that he thought about it. Hollows need to eat to satisfy their hunger and evolve. If what you say is true, then that would explain 2 things. The first would be how I haven't had my hunger drive me to eat as all hollows do. I'm eating enough Reisha already. Not just from Hueco Mundo, but yours too by being around you. However, the mask seems to only let me receive the amount to calm my hunger instead of absorbing all of yours. The second thing would be that the mask is not just helping my hunger, but perhaps pushing my evolution too. I know this for sure because when one reaches your evolution you lose your hunger as you had told me. He had asked the group if they still need to eat even to the point of evolution they seem to be. He found out that Stark and Lily are actually hungerless but only eat so Ichigo won't feel so insecure about eating hollows. Apparently only Ichigo has to eat. So going by that, the more one grows, the less hunger they should get, for Lily's and Stark's case, at least. If that last part is true, and this is a big if, then you shouldn't start feeling the effects of evolution by only having that black mask for a month. Your body should try to regain the 2 years of not eating, and I'm sure being around me hasn't pushed you that far yet since the mask only lets you receive just the amount to satisfy your hunger. Now, Stark was more confused than ever before. Sale is absorbing his Reiatsu and growing at the same time. That should take years to happen, not just in a month. All he got from Sale was a shrug from his branches. He was sure that was a shrug. I wish I knew more, but this is new to me. This whole thing was eating Sale away and leaving him with a few headaches. Well, at least a more comfortable silence replaced the awkward one. What about how Ichigo is aging? That had never happened to Lily or I, so why does it happen to him? Stark had a guess why that was happening, but if Sale had been spying on them for 2 years, hopefully, he saw something from a different view. That's because Ichigo-kun's powers might be growing. Looking back at the man, Sale notices the lack of surprise on his face. Something tells me you came with a similar conclusion. All he got from Stark was a simple nod. That's quite a frightening thought. It's unknown to either of them how powerful Ichigo is, and to think he's still growing and getting stronger. How strong he'll end up could be anyone's guess. They went back to a comfortable silence, no longer feeling scared. Have you heard the name Baragon by any chance? Never mind, that came back. Excuse me, can you say that again? Did he just stutter? Stark stares at Sale with a raised eyebrow. Baragon. Have you heard that name before at all? He made it sound like no big deal. If only he knew. Baragon is the king of Hueco Mundo. That got the brunette's attention. King. They have a king in a place like this? Wait. How do you know who Barragan is? Had you met him before or something? Sale stares at the man like he was stupid. How had he not at least heard of that name before? Then he remembers how the only contact Stark had was between Ichigo and Lily. Face-palming himself with a branch, the black mask hollow releases a sigh. How did I forget that? Clearing his throat, he looks back to Stark and explains. Everyone around here knows who Barragan is. Believe it or not, he commands an army of hollows. He is the king because there's no one strong enough to even stand against him. When he feels a powerful hollow, he himself kindly asks them to join. He also asks his servants to even recruit any powerful hollow to join him, and no, they look nothing like you. They still have a hollow appearance, not human. Sale notices the way Stark shut his mouth. The brunette was probably hoping for more hollows like them. Word around here travels fast. Usually, hollows that refuse Barragan's invitation get to meet him personally and he forcefully makes them join. Hollows by nature won't let anyone force us around, so most lose their life against Barragan. Sale heard about Barragan from a group of hollows that were looking for one of the king's loyal servants. A lizard-like hollow who the king tasked to investigate a powerful Ryuryoku that has been coming and going. That was around a year ago. Oh Kami, don't tell me. His eyes shot open with shock and looked back at Stark. How have you heard his name before? Stark for his part just raises one of his eyebrows. And now he's scared. He scratches his head and thinks about the hollow from a year ago. With a shrug, he went back to releasing more Ryatsu before looking back at Sale. Some lizard hollow told me that Barragan would not like something and he would take it as rebellious. That's all he said before dying. He closes his eyes and goes to take a nap. Missing out on how Sale turned pale and even the mask looks like it lost color. What did I get myself into? With another 30 minutes passing by and hopefully with enough food, Stark raises his arm and fires a Zero. They waited for the kids to show up. You know, I was thinking about it, Stark-san, but how come Ichigo-kun hasn't asked Lily-chan to teach him Zero? They both stay quiet. How do we know she hasn't taught him yet? Before they could continue with that train of thought, Ichigo and Lily finally show up. Stark notices the look on the redhead's face. Ichigo wanted to ask for something, he just knew it. He saw something in his eyes. He couldn't tell what it was, but it almost looks like he just remembered something or someone important. He'll just wait until he does. How can I visit the human world? Well crap. He wasn't expecting something like that. I'm sorry. Run that again with me, Ichigo. I was sure I heard you say something about visiting the human world. Stark was hoping he was joking. That this was some prank. He looks over at Lily, expecting to see her laughing at his shocked face, but all he saw was a worried look. What is Lily worried about? He looks back at the redhead and notices his upsetting face. I remember where I came from. Stark barely heard him, but understood now. Ichigo has only remembered a little about his old life. The redhead remembers his sisters, dad, and mom. Besides that, he couldn't remember much, but now Ichigo finally remembered his previous home. Stark notices the atmosphere becoming tense with desperation. The kid was hoping for him to know. Kami, this would be painful for him. Look, Ichigo, I'm sorry to say this but I don't know how we can even reach the human world. He saw the way Ichigo's eyes show pain. How badly did the boy want to go? But there has to be a way for all hollows born in the human world to come here. Yeah well, we aren't like them. But he is. Ichigo said that part while pointing a finger at Sale. The black mask hollow looks from Stark to Ichigo. Do they not know about Garganta? They don't. Stark probably never needed to use it and Ichigo just remembers where he came from. He should have known that. The man used a Zero to reach the forest of Minos instead of just using a quick Garganta to reach it. Cammy, they're still staring at me. Feeling awkward under both their eyes, he shrugs before saying. Just use a garganta. A what? Reply both the brunette and redhead, confused about the new word. Damn it, they really don't know. Releasing a sigh, he went into that little teaching tone of his. Garganta is a pathway that all hollows can use to travel between worlds or distances. I remember during my time as a Jillian, witnessing an Ajuchas ordering other Jillians around, and before I knew it, the Ajuchas said something to the Jillians and they opened a garganta and they all went through it. To where? I don't know, but the method behind it is probably thinking about the place you're trying to reach and then tap the air. That got Ichigo's hopes up. He remembers where he's from. So all he has to do is think about it and then tap the air in front of him. That doesn't sound so hard. Ready to give it a shot, he stops at the sound of his stomach. Okay, food first then garganta later. The atmosphere while eating was weird. Sale and Ichigo were both excited about finally seeing the human world again, while Stark and Lily seemed worried about something. The group didn't even eat a lot, and before they knew it the redhead was already trying to open a garganta. He was far from the group, thinking about the one place he remembered. An old home from his once normal life. Ichigo let out a frustrating sigh. There was something blocking him. He knew where he wanted to go, but why though? Why does he want to go back to a place he's no longer a part of? He turns back and looks at his friends that made Hueco Mundo feel like a home to him. Thinking about his old home brought mixed feelings. Why, though? They stayed in the White Desert for 2 years with nothing ever happening and that place felt like home. Then when they went into Minos Park and stayed there for a week, that place still felt like home. The feeling of home was never about who he knew. Home is where you make it. With that in mind, he tries again. No longer thinking about Karakura town with mixed feelings because for him it was just an empty world if he didn't have the friends to make it feel like a home. He thought about an old dojo that he used to go to as a kid. He remembers it now. With a tap, a garganta formed. Ichigo stares inside the garganta. The thing looks wicked. It almost looks like a mouth. He took a peek inside and noticed how everything was dark. He could see a light on the other side, but something told him that he's supposed to do something first before walking through the black void. Turning around to ask what should be next, Ichigo heard the sad tone of Lily's voice. So what now? The redhead turns around towards the pink-eyed girl with a raised eyebrow. What do you mean by that? To his response, Lily glared at him in a way she has never looked at him before. Why is she mad? He turns to Stark and notices the sad look in his eyes. Okay, what's going on now? Don't act dumb, Ichigo. Is this goodbye or what? You just remember your home, damn it. There is nothing holding you to this place anymore. You can just go back and never even look back at us. Lily started out sounding strong and mad, but she finished up sounding weak and sad. She was worried ever since Ichigo told her how he remembered his home. Was she going to lose him already and never see him again? Just like that. She even told Stark when he asked what was wrong with her. He got the same look once she told him. Now. Here they are. Only a few minutes away from returning to their solitude. All over again. Sale would probably just go with Ichigo. Damn it, was she feeling tears in her eye? Don't you guys want to come with me? Ichigo's words seemed to break the depressing atmosphere around Lily and Stark. They both look at his yellow eyes, confusion seen in them. Did they hear right? You want us to go with you? That was Stark's curious voice. Was Ichigo not going to leave them alone? Would Ichigo really ask them to come with him? I mean, I may have remembered my old home and everything, but what made it feel like home were the people who lived there. My family and friends can't see the dead, so there's really no point in going there myself and staying if they can't see me. And right now I already have the people that make it everywhere I go feel like a home. He sounded corny, but it just felt like he needed them to be sure he lost his old family but got a new one now. Now that Ichigo thought about it. He never told Stark how this little pack of theirs started feeling like a family. Ichigo's words brought a smile to Lily's face. The pink-eyed girl almost forgot about it. Maybe she was just too worried about nothing. Stark kept staring at Ichigo. He only introduced the boy into both his and Lily's world in hoping that those lonely days became a distant memory. He would never have imagined Ichigo making it feel like a home, maybe even a family. The little strawberry just kept smiling towards him. He really means it. He walked towards Ichigo while still keeping eye contact and then made a stop. There was only a few feet of distance between them. Are we family to you, Ichigo? Stark needed to know that for sure. He waited for the redhead to say something. All Ichigo did for his part was close their distance with a hug. You're all family to me. Well, that sure did it. A lone tear drops from Stark before he hugs back the redhead. Lily by this point had a few tears going down her face and went up to the hugging pair too. Seo looked away. He felt awkward. Again. Like he was staring at a private moment. Is this any way for hollows to act like? They're supposed to be monsters that eat souls. Just looking at them made his chest hurt. It was almost too painful to watch them. Was it because he wanted to be a part of that? It may feel like a family, but he wasn't a part of it. What are you doing over there? Sale turns back to look at Stark. The group was looking at him with open arms. You're a part of this as well now, you know. I have only been here for a month and you think I'm already a part of this. Weird family. He didn't want to sound mean, but this looks like a moment for them only. All he got was a shrug from Stark and smiles from Lily and Ichigo. Why not? Are you gonna get over here or not? Stark didn't ask twice before Sale went into the group hug. They stay like that for a moment before letting go. Staring at the Garganta he made. Ichigo looks at the weird gate before he tells them how there seems to be no way to walk across it. That's because to move through it, you must create footholds using Raisher. That was the reply he got from Sale. Ichigo was glad that Sale was a part of them now. Before trying to make a pathway, Stark stops him and brings back the common problem. If I'm there, I might hurt people, you know. While not having problems around hollows now, normal people will still die and that might bring problems to them. Not quite Stark-san. Almost all people can't see and for most, can't feel Raisher around them, so there shouldn't be a problem with you killing them unless you sucked in their souls. But besides that, there's no other way to hurt them. Only highly spiritually aware people could see and feel us. However, those are rare to find, and even if there's someone like that, having Ichigo-kun around we might not even come across one thanks to his cloaking ability. Sale reassures the man. Just getting a nod from the brunette, he slithers in front of the Garganta and turns back to the redhead. Let me do this part, Ichigo-kun, while you have no experience with your Raisher control and Stark-san might just get lazy halfway through. Oi. I have a good amount of control for us to get at the end of the Garganta. Getting a nod from the group, Sale gathers Raisher around him and creates a foothold for the group. Walking in first, Sale led the group, followed up by Ichigo and Lily. Stark was ready to follow when he stopped and turned around. There was a sense of déjà vu. A sense of being watched but not spotting anything. He shrugs his shoulders and walks in. Garganta closed behind him. If he looked up at the sky instead of around him, Stark would have noticed a pair of green eyes above him. Karakura Town. Coming out from the Garganta, everyone shields their eyes from the sun. The sun. Completely ignoring the light, Ichigo tries to force his eyes to open. When his eyes finally adjusted to the light, he saw his old dojo in front of him. He was staring at his old dojo. The one where he came to when he was alive. He started looking around him and noticed the people walking by and ignoring him. Like I'm not even here. While it hurts, he completely ignored it. He saw it coming anyway, so he prepared himself. Turning around, he saw the bewildered look on Stark and Lily's faces. With his arms spread apart, he screams from the top of his lungs. "Welcome to Karakura town." Getting Lily and Sale's attention away from their new surroundings, they both went back to staring at the boy. Stark still kept looking around him. This was all way too new to him. Getting one last look from his surroundings, he addresses the redhead. "Well, we're here now. What do you want to do, Ichigo?" Honestly, was this really where the boy came from? Everything looked so lively. Nothing compared to the emptiness of Hueco Mundo. Ichigo thought about it. There was so much for them to see. Feeling wind down his ankles, the redhead remembers the one thing that has been bugging him for some time now. Clothes. "We're gonna go get clothes." Everyone stares at him like he was stupid. "Ichigo-kun, I don't think that's a great idea. The people might freak out when they see floating clothes around them. While people can't see or feel them, they can still see clothes floating among them. What if we cover up the clothes with Ryatsu? People can't see Raisher and by that logic should not be able to see clothes that get covered by our Ryatsu. That's genius. That might just work, Ichigo-kun. Do you have any memory of a place